If you are interested in knowing how to help your pets with their health and their behavior naturally, you clicked on the right video. Hi, and welcome to my channel, Take Control of Your Health. I'm Dr. Cori Stern, and I am so excited to have a guest today that actually I've been trying to get on here for well over a year now. And so I'm super excited that we finally made this work. This is Caroline Ingraham, who specializes in working with animals, doing all natural things. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and explain what she does.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to your show so I can have a voice for the animals and let your audience know what can be achieved with animal self-medication. You may have heard of it as zoopharmacognosy or applied zoopharmacognosy, which is basically a composite of three Greek words, which is zoo, pharma, cognosy, zoo, animal, pharma, medicine, and cognosy, knowing. So zoopharmacognosy. Applied zoopharmacognosy is something that I created maybe over 35 years ago, which is bringing remedies to animals that aren't free to forage and to see what they need to bring themselves back into health. But the broad term, which encompasses everything, zoopharmacognosy and applied zoopharmacognosy, is self-medication, and a lot easier for a lot of people to say. So I've been researching, studying this for over 35 years, and I teach I've taught all over the world. I write courses on the subject. I've written several books on the subject. I've magazine articles, if you go to my website, there is a bio, and that's probably have a lot more things that it can tell you about me and what I do and what I've done. I've lectured to vets and so on and so forth.
Yes, and we'll put a link to your website on the description of this video so people can find you. I first found you quite a number of years ago. I just randomly saw a video of you helping an animal with a behavior issue using essential oils. And I was really fascinated by that because I use essential oils for my human patients and had no idea about using them with animals. So the idea that animals can, what you call self-medicate, or actually they do know what it is needed. And after I started following you, I realized how true that was. And I started playing around with it with my own animals. And then just before we started this video, I mentioned to you that I actually consulted you, and I got my last little rescue who was really struggling. He was a mess when I got him, and we had a session. And I learned how to help him using essential oils, and it was very effective. And I learned a lot from you. And I am so thrilled that we can spread this information to other people, because I am a firm believer and seen with my own eyes, not just with my pets, but with my patients' pets, that when given the right choices of things to heal themselves, animals will choose. So let's talk about ways that you do that. What is the best way of knowing what an animal needs?
Okay, so basically all animals are pre-set up with this innate mechanism to be able to select remedies that have been in their evolutionary history, which means that they can recognize them and detoxify them. So if we hear of plant poisonings, they're usually when an animal has been exposed to plants that haven't been in their evolutionary history, so such as ones from the tropics. There was a study, actually, a 10-year study in 5 different European countries, and out of all the poisonings, only 3.9% were plant poisonings, and of that 3.9%, 95% were with indoor plants from the tropics, which animals couldn't recognize. And the other 5% is things like administration, when things have been put onto animals, like or they've been overdosed or accidental. So the reason why essential oils are easy to work with is because they're some of the oldest, well, probably are, yeah, pretty much the oldest plants on the planet. So plants that are essential bearing plants were around before the continents divided. So the ancestors of animals would have evolved with them, and they learned how to select these remedies, these plants as remedies to bring themselves back into health. So it's all wired in their DNA. I've never had an animal that has selected a remedy that isn't needed. It just doesn't happen. Any animal that isn't able to recognize these plants wouldn't have survived their evolutionary history. Any species, they just wouldn't be here today. So the question is, first, it's an innate response with different signaling pathways that when the body is sick, taste and smell preferences change. And so that individual, be it human or animal, both the same, we're both animals really, and they're able to select the plants at the correct dosage that they need. And this is providing there's no sugars on the plant, so or no sugars within whatever you're offering to them, the herbs or so on and so forth. People will eat sugars if they're not needed, and animals will eat sugars or foods that are carbohydrate rich because they can be stored as fat. Secondary compounds are the medicinal part of the plant, which is what the essential oil is, and that's treated by the body in the same way conventional medicines are. So they have no metabolic value. They wouldn't be selected as food, and as soon as they enter the body works to break them down and excrete them. So like a medicine, they're taken by either inhalation or by mouth, depending on species and the condition of that individual. And the aromatic chemicals make their way to where's needed, like any other medicine, and then it's excreted through phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes. So it's broken down and the body gets rid of it. Now, it really depends on what species we're talking about as to how they're going to take their plant remedies or essential oils in this case. So you look at their diet and you look at are they carnivore, omnivore, herbivore. So the herbivore has a lot of plant chemicals in their daily diet, and so they have a lot of enzymes capable of breaking down plants. So if a horse, for example, is unwell, it's not unusual for them to take the remedies by mouth because they're able to detoxify them. They're not going to select them if they're not needed, and they will select the exact amount that is needed. So horses were my first teachers, and they basically were, which I did my first observational research with, and if they need a remedy quickly, they use the underneath of the tongue. Another essential oil they might alternate, another essential oil they might inhale, especially if it's for a behavioral problem, because inhalation is the fastest route to the brain. It really depends on what oil they're selecting, what their condition is, and their individual physiology to what they're going to take, how they're going to take it, and how much. But that's sort of the spectrum with a horse, is from inhalation to licking underneath with the underneath of the tongue. If you look at the dog, omnivore, so yeah, we'll have some plant material, So that has the CYP450 enzymes that are capable of breaking down plant chemicals, and yet not as much as the horse because it doesn't have the same diet. So a horse would, a dog would generally inhale their remedies, and that is pretty much their dose. And it's strong. You know, I try and say to people, think of it as a gas, because a lot of people think, oh yeah, really, can essential oils be that effective if it's smell alone? Well, can anesthetic be that effective if it's smell alone? You know, they're pretty potent. So these aromatic molecules are being inhaled in by the dog. The dogs are the most difficult to read because they are incredibly subtle with how they work with the oils. Some, you know, you hear people saying, oh, they just took a sniff and walked away, wasn't really interested. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a huge dose for a dog. Often they'll work with an oil for a long time and they're not even sniffing it. And sometimes you see nothing, but you look at the breathing that's changed and then you see twitches in the body. It's looking at the whole body, not just at the nose. You're looking at the eyes, how heavy the eyes are when they're working with it. You might not see anything going on with nose or mouth. Sometimes they lick the aroma molecules. So it's amazing how many ways they can work with an oil with just smell alone. And that's sniffing, using their tongue to get the aroma molecules into the mouth, which is to the vomeronasal organ. So but then you look at the bear. So the bear is still an omnivore. But if you look at his diet or their diet, they eat a lot more vegetation than the dog. And when I've worked with bears, they take quite a lot internally of essential oils if needed. But where you group them together is that their choices are pretty similar. So they're more likely to take vegetable oils or spirulina, whereas the horse, who doesn't have a high protein diet, is rarely interested in spirulina. So the sort of group of remedies are quite similar, but the amount they take depends on their enzymatic profile. Okay, and then after that, as I mentioned, their condition and so on and so forth, and their individual physiology. And then you go to the cat. Now, the cat works incredibly well with essential oils. A lot of bad press has gone out unfairly to the cat because it means they don't get treated with this wonderful therapeutic medicine, which works so well with them. But it's about dosage. And for the cat, it's inhalation. And that's it. And you look at their diet, yeah, they eat some grass. So they do have some of these enzymes, CYP450s, to break down these constituents, or else they wouldn't be able to have any drugs either, you know, pharmaceutical drugs, if they weren't able to break down essential oils. However, the more essential oils come through two routes. They come through two pathways. One is terpene, propanoids, which are the more phenolic oils, like cinnamon, thyme. Just to do with their chemistry, they're a little bit more difficult to break down. And so cats don't have that particular enzymes, or they have much lesser amounts. There's debate on whether they have none or small quantities to break down those essential oils. However, when a cat is really sick, it will select oils by inhalation, so especially if they and it's helped them improve and get better enormously. But I think what it is trying to educate people is a lot of people are afraid of essential oils. And personally, I'm much more afraid of medicine, you know, from the pharmaceutical companies than I am essential oils. I would think nothing of putting a little dab, if I like the smell of lemon, rubbing it into my finger. Do I like the smell, taste? Oh yeah, it's really good. Second taste, oh, done, finished. And that's how it works. So I think the problem is that, you know, essential oils seem to get sort of very bizarre press They're either, oh my God, they're, really dangerous, and, they do all these things, they can kill cats and so on and so forth. And the next camp really, can smelling really work? Is it just a bit airy-fairy? So they're medicines, and anything that works is going to have a negative effect if any individual's overdosed with it. If you go down the road and you get, what we call anodine in England, and if I took a packet of anodine, I'll be pretty sick. And if I had a compromised immune system, it could kill me. But it's still not taken off the shelves, okay? Because we're educated to take 2 if we need it, okay? And so that doesn't mean that essential oil cats should be denied essential oils, because if you overdose a cat or any animal with an essential oil, it will act like any other medicine, and you don't take somebody else's medicine either, because that can be detrimental. But when you're working with self-medication, you don't get into those problems, because you have this incredibly refined mechanism of taste and smell, depending how you're going to work with that remedy, to not only guide you with the oil you need, but it guides you with the dose. So you can't overdose. If that was thyme essential oil and I didn't need it, there's no way. It just would be so strong and so horrible that the smell would even put you off. You can't, that it's very, very difficult. And I think, when you hear of these incorrect misinformation that goes out, I'll give you a classic one, is lime. Don't use lime around cats or dogs, especially cats. It's really dangerous. Well, I worked with a cat under veterinary supervision that had cancer, 2 weeks to live. Cat's called Pepe. And Pepe, the only oil that Pepe wanted was lime and seaweed, but in preference was lime. And he smelled lime several times a day for several weeks to begin with. And then I got an email from her. And I thought she was going to say, hey, Pepe's passed on now, but thanks, because it's really helped him. But she said, been to the vet, vet's amazed, we've got, X amount of percentage of improvement. This happened over 7 months. So every time I got an email from her, Pepe was choosing less and less lime. It began to be weekly and then monthly. At 7 months, I got an email from her, and it said, and I thought, again, she was going to say Pepe had passed on, because I thought, wow, we're doing well with 7 months borrowed time here. And she said he's got the all clear, completely clear of cancer, and no further interest in the lime. So
that's very amazing. That yeah.
Sorry,
so this we can. Did you need to get some water?
I just take a little bit of water.
Okay. So yeah, so we can save lives of animals with this. So what do I say to, let's say, people that are afraid to run a diffuser in their house with their own selection of essential oils when they have cats around, because many people are reluctant to do that?
Okay, well, I think first of all, make sure you're using quality essential oils. And often, sometimes oils that people burn might not be the best quality. That's going to have chemicals in the air that the cat's going to breathe in. Same with cleaning agents. Cleaning agents are full of phenols, unless they're natural. But cats have been exposed, especially in the early days in catteries, before people were aware not to use harsh chemicals, but to use natural cleaning agents. They're way more toxic than essential oils, really. So cleaning agents or cheap essential oils, not a good idea. A friend of mine said, but this is a dog, but similar story. She said, I really wanted to give rosemary to my husband to make him a little bit more, to improve his memory. And I wanted to burn it in the room, but they said in the shop, oh, no, you mustn't put it in a diffuser. It's going to be poisonous. And she asked me, what should she do? And I said, yeah, let your husband have the rosemary burnt in his office, have the door open. So if your dog wants to leave, you can. Give them the choice. We're always having to control everything the whole time, and it's not always in the favor of the animal. And in this case, she said the dog curled up under the diffuser and went to sleep. It's an elderly dog, and maybe he needed the rosemary. These aren't poisons we're talking about. They're natural remedies that if an animal or a person is not feeling up to speed, then, or feeling unwell, it can make them better. So why not give them that opportunity? Just don't use cheap remedies, and don't always allow for them to be able to walk away. Because even like for us, when I'm teaching, yes, for some people, and you can't say something's safe and something's not. Some people will feel quite nauseous with Roman chamomile, whereas somebody else will love, thuja or wintergreen. So it's all to do with the individual, and just respect the individual. And some people might feel nauseous just with a few sniffs of an essential oil. Same for the animal, just be respectful, but equally, it could be really helpful to them.
Yeah, having learned from you, first of all, on your website, I haven't checked it recently, but you had a list of every essential oil and how they worked as a remedy, what conditions they would be appropriate for. And I studied that because I found it so fascinating. And then after I had my session with you, I had discovered during the session that my dogs love peppermint oil. Both of them just love peppermint oil. And in the summertime, they get mosquito bites. Both of my dogs, for whatever reason, I use natural insect repellent that has citronella in it. It has whatever natural oils repel insects, and they don't have any problem with that. They come to me when they see the bottle, they let me put it on them, but it doesn't work as well as, let's say, a chemical insect repellent, which I will not use. So, because it's toxic. So I use the natural stuff, but they still get bitten. And sometimes they're waking me up in the middle of the night because they're itchy and they're upset that they're itchy and they want me to make it go away, and I just open the bottle of peppermint oil, hold it up. They do their little sniff, they lick their lips, and they just lay back down. And once in a while, they'll put their head like this, and I know that means they want me to put some on them.
Yeah.
So I learned that from you.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I keep the peppermint oil on my night table at all times in case they wake me up in the middle of the night. It just calms them right down. And it's interesting because peppermint oil is stimulating, but in some cases it's also calming.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on with peppermint oil. It is it's a digestive stimulant, correct, with that. But when an animal or person or animal it has relief. And if you felt discomfort, be it your gut or whatever the discomfort is, you feel quite sleepy with that relief, because you've been that energy of dealing with it. But peppermint actually has a dual action. So peppermint's a great oil for that. So we can see it's got properties of hot and cold. So you don't know if it touches your skin, if it's burning you or freezing you. But equally, the menthol in peppermint blocks calcium channels, which it doesn't mean that it's blocking calcium going into your body. It's working as a messenger. When calcium channels are blocked, the muscles relax. And when they're not blocked, the muscles contract. So peppermint is blocking calcium channels, so relaxing the muscles in the esophagus and the gut. So you've got that wonderful relaxing properties of the peppermint, while stimulating blood flow, or more than blood flow, really. It's more, excuse me, it's stimulating more the nerve endings. So all the messages, the communication within the body. So it's an amazing central nervous stimulant.
That is really fascinating. I did not know that about the calcium channel blocking. I love this stuff. I mean, to me, essential oils are God's gift to every, you know, to humans and animals. And so that's how I actually got into the work that I do as a holistic practitioner, was herbs and oils that heal. And I want to know everything about it that I can. And I'm sure a lot of my subscribers are interested in that information as well. So just so you know, if anybody is interested in having a session with Caroline, you're in England, but we had our session over, I guess it was Zoom, and it was very effective. I just put the camera on the dogs and she was able to see what they were doing and guided me as to what to do and how to do it. And then I actually purchased she makes her own oils specifically for animals.
I buy them in, but from reputable suppliers.
Okay. So you can be sure that they're good quality. And like you mentioned, you want to always make sure that oils you're using are the best quality. So make sure you do your research. I opted to get oils from Caroline, but you can get your own locally if you're not in the UK or in Europe. And there's a lot of fake oil out there. There's a lot of tainted oils, just like herbal supplements. So you have to be careful and make sure that you're using anything that goes in your body or on your body is absorbed into your bloodstream. So you have to make sure that
and also, the animals are smelling for the chemicals within the oil. So if you don't have that chemical cocktail that's correct, then they're not going to select it.
That makes sense, yeah, because they can smell a lot better than us.
Exactly. Sorry about my I've had to do a lot of talking today and my throat is very dry.
I'm so sorry. I hate when that happens, when I'm doing a video and I get a coughing fit. Yes, but it does happen. It's part of life.
And also, yeah, exactly. And more your mind is saying, nope, I can't cough because I'm talking. And you cough.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, I have two problems. One is once in a while that happens to me, and the other problem is the dogs will start barking in the middle of my videos, and that might still happen today. So I apologize in advance if that occurs. So, and the other thing I was thinking about, and I've thought about this before as well, and I see evidence of it in my human patients, is that humans have the ability to self-select remedies as well. I think we're really out of touch with it. Most people have lost their ability, or they're not aware that they have this ability. But I've noticed that as my patients clean up their diet, get the sugar out of their diet, as you mentioned earlier, because sugar actually causes your taste buds it alters your taste buds, and so does processed foods and chemicals, so that you're no longer really being accurate about what you need. So let's just say
yeah, honestly, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I've never come across anyone yet, unless they've got damaged neurons in their nose and tongue, or a viral condition that's damaged them. Because I do people workshops as well with the people who've worked with animals, and everybody can smell and taste what they want. Smell or taste, depending. I'll begin with licorice root, providing it's got no sugars in, providing it's just secondary compounds. So if you get concentrated licorice root powder, I get people to smell it and they go, yeah, I love it. Somebody else will go, hate it. And somebody else will go, yeah, it's nice. So you get the people who are, yeah, it's nice and love it. And you say, okay, just a tiny bit on your tongue. And somebody, oh my God, it's really sweet. And somebody else will go, yeah, but after the second one, that's gone bitter. And then, somebody might take a teaspoon before it goes bitter, somebody 3 licks. In my online courses, I get everybody to, for themselves, to do an experiment. And they get the more physical oils, not the behavior oils, at this point, and they need to go through them. They get maybe about 20 oils, Just go through, and there's the light group, the medium group, and the love group. The dislike, medium, and love. The medium and love, I keep getting them to revisit those oils. And usually at the end of it, there's only a couple of oils that that person's really attracted to. And it's those oils that they need. I mean, I can give you an example. I did a human group and I had hormone problems where there's a group of people who actually, after the third COVID vaccine, they said their menopause symptoms had come back. So I put those people into a little group and I said, okay, go through the liver support oils. And the majority of them wanted lemon. This one person, who I was working with, I said, okay, when you smell it, how does it make you feel? And she said, does it make you feel you want to eat it? She said, oh, right, yeah, and it does. So I got her to try a tiny bit on the tongue, a little bit in hot water, and she loved both. Sometimes people enjoy a little bit on the tongue, sometimes in hot water, sometimes both. Anyway, she called me up the next day and she said for the first time she slept overnight. All of her hot sweats had disappeared. And this was, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. Symptoms haven't come back. She's still very attracted to her lemon. My first experience was with my father who had diverticulitis, and he certainly wasn't in tune with himself or his diet. And he was going to have part of his colon removed. And I thought, well, I'm just going to see if this works with you. And he responded to peppermint and lavender. And some days he liked the peppermint, sometimes the lavender, sometimes both. His colon completely repaired. He was bleeding every day. He only bled once, 3 days and 10 days later. And, that was when I was in my early 20s. I'm now in my early 60s. So, and it never came back. We all have this ability to self-medicate. It's so simple and it's been so overlooked, but it must be with secondary compounds, with no sugars, no carbohydrates, which are sugars. It must be the medicinal part of the plant, and by smell and taste, depending.
Sorry, I was just pointing at my dogs to get away from me.
I wondered. Well, hey, it's good to have the sound effects though, huh? So for we have that ability.
Yeah, so just increasing people's awareness of it is, I guess, the best way to do it. And that what I was going to say is, so when I clean up my patient's diet and I start correcting nutritional deficiencies, they start to develop the awareness on their own.
Yeah,
they're able to tell me, oh, this is really helping me, or I need more of this, I need less of that. So I love when we get to that point where the patient knows.
I think I've noticed that more when it's with food. When you clean up your diet, then it's like, oh, that sugar doesn't taste so good anymore. That processed food doesn't taste so good. And I think with food, that is, absolutely. But just if we look on a very basic level, if somebody, the smell of bacteria, fertilizer, that's horrible to everyone because it's a poison.
Yeah.
And if, for example, the milk is bad in the fridge, and if we can't see it's bad, first of all, we go with smell. And if we can't quite smell whether it's bad or not, we're not sure, then we go to taste, because we have more taste receptors than animals. But if it's really going to be bad for us, it will smell bad, just like bacteria, feces. There's a broad spectrum of bad for everyone, and that's when it's going to be detrimental to your health. But when you come with plant medicines, we all have this ability, and it's just been so overlooked. And it's so simple. It's so simple because you can get the dose right, you can get what you need, the plant medicine right. I usually say to people, when you get the correct remedy, say it's peppermint or fennel, you're halfway there, because dosage is so important to get long-term effects. So if I just given the cat, you know, that one application of inhalation of the lime, that wouldn't have saved him. He needed it on an ongoing basis. And the pharmacokinetics and pharmacology within lime, so your listeners can understand what was going on, basically it inhibits blood supply to tumors. And lemon also does that. And there are papers on it. So, yeah, there is some very solid pharmacology on a lot of these remedies.
Wow. And that's another new thing I learned. I did not know that. In fact, I want to write that down because that is going to change some things that I'm doing. Okay.
Well, I've noticed that most of my animals that have gastric tumors, they respond to lime. A lot of research is done on lemon, but there is also research on lime too.
Wonderful. That is so amazing. Yeah.
Blood supply to tumors.
So I'm hoping that if you do have a pet that's you're struggling with, not just with a health or medical issue, but also behavioral, upset animal for any reason, you can reach out to Caroline. We'll put her link in the description, and you can schedule a session with her and or take one of her courses and learn how to do it yourself. So I just want to do a quick shout out to my truth partner, HATS, which stands for Hardcore Awakened Truth Seekers. And this movement was inspired into creation amidst hyper political division in the last few years to get away from polarization and bring people together across the political spectrum to the truth and a sense of community that allows us to move forward. This movement is making great strides in achieving this vision. They have a huge Telegram channel that you can check out, and they post great videos and interesting articles multiple times a day. There's also a blog, which I'll put the link to in the description of this video, and they have a store where you can get merchandise like my HATS t-shirt. I love the different colors that they offer. I have my bright yellow HATS mug. They have a lot of other cool stuff there. And now they also have a donation page. So if you want to check it out, if you love hats, you can help them out by making a little donation. So before we end, I just also wanted to mention some of my favorite pet supplements that I offer and I use with my own pets. So I use a company called Standard Process. They're the oldest nutrition supplement company in the United States. I sound like I'm doing a commercial for them, but I don't work for them. I just use their supplements because they're very good. Unfortunately, they're not easily available in other countries outside the US. Although if you're not in the US and you want them, I can ship them to you. It's just, the shipping is so expensive, but they have a whole line of canine, feline, and horse different supports for different body parts. So this one is canine whole body support that I give my dogs every day. And this one is canine immune support. And these, sorry about that, I lost my connection for a minute. So these are easily powdered, so they're easy to use. They also have adrenal support, dermal support, musculoskeletal, enteric, which is gastro and intestinal, renal for kidneys, thyroid support, and they are a wonderful addition to your animal's everyday diet if they need any of these supports. So my Heidi is 12. She just turned 12, and she's doing great. Her vision, her hearing, she can move. She doesn't have any health issues whatsoever. And my other guy is about 11, and I got him when he was 3, and he had some health issues. But we have improved him very, very much. So I'm a true believer in using as much everything natural for animals, because that's what happens in nature, right? When animals
Except
are
for, can I just say, just because I'm sitting here
sure,
with you,
sure,
and just for what I teach, which is slightly different, in that I never put supplements in food. I always put them to the side of the food so an animal can select, because what supplement is going to be good for one person or animal might not be for the other. And it's like if I said, offer essential oil to your dog, it's going to be amazing for digestion. Yeah, it will be for lots of dogs, but some dogs it won't. And for those other dogs, they might do better with fennel or another digestive. Or I've had some animals that refuse to take glucosamine, and they've actually purged it up when it's been hidden in a sausage to get rid of that sausage. So whereas another dog might be, it might work really well for them. So I just think, for me, I would always say offer supplements, because they're not food. They're sort of, it depends. Some are medicinal and some are nutritional. So medicinal would be things like garlic or anything that comes from a plant. Nutritional is things like spirulina, barley grass, and nutrition helps support the enzymes in the body, or collagen, or whatever, rose hips, for example, stimulate vitamin C, which then stimulates the production of collagen. So I would, but not all animals like spirulina. Not all animals go for barley grass. So I would just let that, and they will have different dosage. And anything that you give an animal that it doesn't need will put stress on their body, because they've got to get rid of it. It's like if somebody put coriander in, say my partner's food, he would hate his food, but he would have to eat it if he was given nothing else.
yes.
So somebody else would love coriander. So just make sure they like it first.
Excellent point. The supplements that I'm talking about are actually all made out of food. The Standard Process is a whole food supplement company, so
but
there are some herbs, yes, and I give my dogs boswellia, but they actually, so they're at the point where they pick out what they don't want and throw it on the floor. They train themselves.
I wouldn't put it in the food anyway. I just put it to the side. That's because then they can select what they want. And boswellia is a medicine as well, and also then their dose. So some might need twice as much, and some might need half as much.
Right, that's true. So I actually do a technique that involves muscle testing. So we're able to determine whether or not it's good for a body and doses. But with animals, I agree with you. I always consult with the animal to make sure that they're interested, that they like it, that they want it. So
and sometimes they don't want it every day. Sometimes it's every, I always buy liquid vitamins, because sometimes it's like nectar from the gods, and other times it's disgusting, depending on my internal state.
Yes.
And it will change.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And on the spirulina point, you did teach me to offer them spirulina during our session, and they both loved it. They gobbled it down. So now every day I actually offer them spirulina. They always take it. Always. Yeah. And sometimes they want more. So that was a great thing that I added to their daily routine. So thank you for that.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're about out of time, and I want to thank you so much for doing this. And I'm sorry about your, talking too much today.
I've just been doing quite a few talks, so it's just the way it's been. But it's great. It's nice to put the message out and have this opportunity. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, and to have a voice for the animals, really. Thank you very much.
Yes, I deeply appreciate that, being a just absolutely lunatic animal lover. So folks, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please hit the subscribe button now. That's my reward for doing these videos. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button because it helps more people to find the video. And last and most importantly, if you know anybody that you think would benefit from seeing this information, please share it with them. Again, thank you so much, Caroline, and we'll have all of her links in the description of the video so you can get in touch with her directly. Until I see you again, stay healthy.
You too. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.